Hi, this is David Orlofsky, and welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. And whether you're watching on Torah Anytime or wherever you happen to be watching or listening to your podcast, it's always nice to have you on board. And I can't tell you how heartening it is for me to meet people all around the world who tell me that they listen to this podcast and that they get chizuk from it. And I received a couple of emails from people who were a little worried about me because evidently in a past podcast I gave the impression that, because I lost all my jobs, that things were difficult for me. And chas v'shalom, Kush Baruch Hu takes care of me. I have no complaints. Everything is good. I thank you for your good wishes and your tefillas, which never go to waste. But Baruch Hashem, I have nothing to complain about, and I have a truly, truly blessed life. So we have finished parshas Shkolim, parshas Zocha, Purim. We did parshas Parah, and we're getting ready for parshas Chodesh. So these are, of course, the Daled Parshios. These are the 4 parshios that we are supposed to read. And it's interesting. There are certain parshios that come out at certain times and obviously are significant. So, for example, it says you should read the klolos in Sefer Vayikra, i.e. Parshas B'chukosai, before Shavuos. You're supposed to read Parshas Kisavo and Tosfos says Nitzavim before Rosh Hashanah. Now, the way that we read the Torah now, you don't have to do anything special. That comes out automatically. But there were 2 minhagim. There was a minhag where they used to finish the Torah once every year, and they used to finish it once every 3 years. And because they'd only have a Simchas Torah once every 3 years, it wasn't as much fun. So they switched around to the system that we have today. And the way it works out, it's not a problem. You always are going to have B'chukosai before Shavuos and Kisavo Nitzavim before Rosh Hashanah. That's just an automatic almost. There are other parshios, though. In the old days, when they used to do it 3 at a time, they would turn the Sefer Torah or bring out a second Sefer Torah, and they would bring it specifically to Kisavo or B'chukosai, and they would lane that besides whatever else they happened to be laning at that time. We do this with the Daled Parshios. It's these 4 special Shabbosim where we take out another Sefer Torah. If Parshas Shkolim comes out on Rosh Chodesh Adar, so then you have 3 Sefer Torah. Right? This is significant because I saw it brought down once. The minhag is that when you take out a second Sefer Torah, the minhag is to make an extra kugel. And when you take out 3 Sefer Torah, if you normally have 1 kugel, you make 3 kugels. Why kugel? I'm not sure exactly. I know that Weinbach from R Sameach once told me that kugel, everything that goes with Shabbos, in Gematria equals 7. So the Gross says, right? Doug, that's an easy one, that's 7. Yayin, if you go by Mispah it turns into 1, 1, and 5 is 7. Basar, 2, 3, and 2, right? So he said to me that kugel and gematria equals Shabbos. And I said, it doesn't. So he said, so have another piece. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess kugel is something that is inherently filled with kedusha. Yeah. Although I guess it depends what. Yeah. Rabbi Reisman tells the story that a woman called him up and asked a shaila about a kugel. Was it kosher? It's not. So he says, there are those who are matir and those who are machmir. So how do you want to go? So he says, no, Rabbi, just tell me, can I eat the kugel or not? So he says, it depends. There's tzad to be mekel and tzad to be machmir. He says, you know what? I'm just going to have my husband call you. So the next time I gave a shir, I said, we should have a shul list and jot down next to each name, whether you're mekel, whether you're machmir, when it comes to these shilas. So one of the husbands says, it depends. If it's a potato kugel, be mekel. If it's a broccoli kugel, you could be machmir. It's amazing how much Torah actually focuses in on kugels. Absolutely interesting idea. But be that as it may, these four parashios, except for Rosh Chodesh or Yontif, these are the only times that we actually take out four separate Sifrei Torah and read from someplace else, assuming you have another Sefer Torah. Yeah, I've been in Minyan where they had only one Sefer Torah, and then I'll be perfectly honest, for Shkolim, it's not really a big deal because you read the beginning of Kisisa and you're usually around one of those parshios anyway, so it goes pretty fast. In fact, I daven in a shul where they make a Mishaberach for everybody. So the amount of time it takes to make a Mishaberach for the guy doing Hagba and the guy doing Glila, and then taking out the second Sefer Torah and doing the Hagba and bringing it in and having another two Mishaberachs, it takes a lot longer than just flipping the page, but we have this rule that we don't want to waste people's time just to roll the Sefer Torah. So obviously for Zohar, it's more because it's all the way in Kiseitse, it's all the way at the end of Devarim, so it's a lot more rolling that you have to do. But in any event, these four parshios are related to the month of Adar. As you see, the Mishnah presents Parshas Shkolim as when Rosh Chodesh comes out on Shabbos. That's the ideal. That's how the year is set up best. Yeah. If not, you read it before Rosh Chodesh, but it's going into Rosh Chodesh. And they say because Machrizin al Hashkolim, you start announcing on Rosh Chodesh Adar that we want to collect your Chansi shekel. This was evidently a very big deal, for people to part with a half a shekel. Now, a half a shekel was worth more than it is today, but not a major sum of money, to really push people over. We want to make sure you pay that half shekel. Yeah. In fact, the Mishnah in Shkolim says that they began fixing the roads, cleaning out the mikvos, the reservoirs beforehand. There's different reasons for it. And one of the reasons is because, like, they hold up those signs, your tax dollars at work. They want to make sure you know that, from the Chatzi shekel, the leftovers, they were using it for public services. So you always want to impress people with those kind of things. In any event, so you see that these four parashios go. So you have Shkolim and Zocha. Sometimes you have a week in between. Yeah. And then you have Parah and you have Chodesh. Sometimes you have a week in between. Yeah. And that takes you through Adar. Adar has, as part of its theme, the Dalet Parshios. And the question is, what is there about the Dalet Parshios that are specific to Adar? So let's understand what the month of Adar is. Obviously, the month of Adar is V'no Hafachu, right? Turns upside down. Everything turns upside down. The Mazel is Mazel Dogim, but it's not like Pisces where it goes like this. It's a yin and yang, the head eating the tail, it goes around in a circle. And there's a cycle. Because normally time works, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. That's how time works. That's how the life of everything works. You take any empire, it went through its tribal phase. They usually unite around a centralized government, and then there's a civil war, and it splits in half, and eventually they're captured by a larger power. This happened in Greece, happened in Rome. It's been the history throughout. It begins, it reaches its crescendo, and then it ends. And that's the normal cycle. Same thing happened with the Jewish people. Now, don't get me wrong, we had an 850-year run, which was pretty impressive. We came into Eretz Yisrael, we went through our tribal phase. We united in a monarchy under Dovid and Shlomo. And then we had civil war, and we split into two kingdoms. And eventually we were captured by a bigger kingdom. And that should have been the end of the Jewish people, because that's the way every nation works. You don't see any Assyrians around today anymore, do you? No, of course not. You've never met a Hittite. Yeah. Nations are captured, and they're reabsorbed into the dominant culture, and that's it. That's the way life works. Interestingly enough, the Greeks were able to maintain their identity. That's because Rome doesn't have any identity. And that's why the Gemara refers to them as a false kingdom, because all they did was take all of the culture, intellectualism, pantheon of gods from Greece, and they just changed it over. So they turned Athena into Venus, and they turned Cupid into Eros, and they turned Zeus into Jupiter, and they just, Ares into Mars. They didn't even pretend. They just stole the whole thing and put a new stempel on it, and called it Roman. They weren't interested in intellectualism, in philosophy. They were interested in power and take control. Whatever happens, happens. They don't really care about anything else. So the Greeks, as a culture, managed to survive. But today, you don't meet a lot of Aristotelians. They're not as, surprisingly, not as dominant in philosophy as one would have thought. Socrates, Plato. I asked a group of college students once what the problem was from a Jewish point of view with Plato, and they said because it gets into the carpet and it's almost impossible. But anyway, that's, by the way, just a quick reminder that Plato is chametz. We're coming on to our Pesach shiurim. Anyone who would like to sponsor a special shiur for Pesach, where to contact us. But in any event, these are the parshas, right? So you have the shekalim, machrizin al shekalim. Tell everybody do that. Get ready their chatzi shekel to give. And they have to give it during Adar. Interesting, if they didn't give it, they would actually go into your house and take a mashkon, take something and hold it in trust until you paid your chatzi shekel. This was a major big deal. Yeah. Adar is the beginning. There's a beginning, the middle, and the end. The Jewish people begin in Nisan. And if that's the case, says Haman, that's why he was so happy when the lottery came out and showed he should destroy the Jews in Adar. He said, just as they were created in Nisan, so they will end in Adar. You go from the first month to the last month. That's the way life goes. That's the way life always goes. There was a TV show called The Smothers Brothers in the 1960s. And one of the characters who was a regular in the show was George Carlin, a comedian. And one of the characters he did on the show was the hippy-dippy weatherman. I'm such a fountain of worthless information. It's just amazing. But anyway, one of his, I don't know why this stuck with me, of all the things. But he said, and now the year-long forecast. Expected warming up during the springtime, getting very hot during the summer, cooling off in the autumn, and getting cold in the winter, right? That's pretty safe. Springtime is beginning. Springtime is life. And then in the springtime, you go into your summer and the fullness, and then you start to age. And then, as Frank Sinatra said in his famous song, and now the days are short. I'm in the autumn of the year. You ever see how beautiful the leaves are in autumn? I happen to be an autumn aficionado. I've been living in Israel now for 32 years. I have to say, one of the things I really miss is autumn. We don't have that here. Mostly because Israel does not have deciduous trees. In any event, but as it starts to reach autumn, the leaves turn into a riot of colors. Gold, crimson, orange, burnt orange, yellow. It's just beautiful. You look at the trees. I grew up out on Long Island. We had a lot of woods around, and you just look at the trees, especially towards the end of the day when the sun is shining and reflecting off all the colors. It's breathtaking. Breathtaking. We have other milas here in Israel, don't get me wrong, but we don't have that. And someone asked me once in a question and answer, why do the leaves change color in autumn? And I said, they don't. They don't. The leaves are really gold and crimson and yellow and red and orange and ochre and whatever the colors are, ash, orange, whatever. They are all those colors. But because there's so much sunshine, the leaves make so much chlorophyll that they look green. And as we reach autumn and there's less sunshine, they start to get less green and their real colors come out. I used to say that it comes before Rosh Hashanah, usually Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Yom Adin, because you have to find out who you really are. Moshe Shapiro said once, why is there a moshel for Gehenna of fire? There's no real fire, right? Obviously. Your body stays here. You can check on it. Have somebody check on you. Save up your money and invest in cryogenics. They'll wrap you in aluminum foil and put you in the freezer. It's not a problem. Yeah, we use a mushel. It's a mushel because you can't really burn in the neshama. So there's a lot of different reasons for it. But he said one of the reasons is because when you burn something, the gases are released and the liquid is vaporized, and you're left with nothing but the essence. Who are you? Who are you in your essence? Strip away everything else. Right? You ask somebody, who are you? I'm an accountant. I didn't ask you what you do. Who are you? I live in Brooklyn. I didn't ask you. I drive. I didn't ask you. I live in I didn't ask you. I have a, no. Who are you? I'm so-and-so's father. I'm so-and-so's son. I'm so-and-so's brother. I'm so-and-so's husband. I'm somebody's neighbor. We give ourselves so many different identities. But who are you? When I strip everything away, who are you in your essence? That's when we come into Yom Adin, we have to know who you are. I want to judge you, but in order to do that, I have to strip everything away and figure out who you are. So many people can only define their identity. America right now is in the middle of a presidential campaign. And so many people define who they are by who they're not, as opposed by saying who I am. The reason is because nobody likes you if you say who you are. Nobody cares who you are. Well, not them. We just had our third elections here in Israel. We're getting ready for our fourth. And there's two sides. There's Bibi in the Likud and the people who support Bibi. And there's all the other parties who don't like Bibi. That's it. That's the only thing they have in common. Nothing else. What does blue and white stand for? Nobody has any idea. Yeah. They're made up of right-wingers, left-wingers, centrists. Every position on the political map. They're united by one thing. Let's get rid of Bibi. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. An amazing thing. Because we define ourselves by externalities. So all the chlorophyll goes away and you get to see what the essence is. And then you reach the winter, and winter is death. Everything is dead. Nothing's growing. It's not really dead. Just looks dead. And there's a big difference between all dead and mostly dead. But that's what Tu B'Shvat is. Tu B'Shvat is the sap begins to flow through the tree and it starts to come back to life. And all those things that you planted, they suddenly burst out in new life. That's springtime. But that's new life. Certainly if you're talking about annuals, there's two different types of plants. My father had a florist nursery. There's annuals and perennials. Perennials come back again. Annuals, you plant them and that's it. They're not coming back again. So you have to plant them each year. But when you take a look at the way things go, they have a beginning, they have a middle, and an end. That is life. It's always been life. Rabbi Shapiro explained once that Lavan made an avodah zarah out of his trofim, which means that trofim are not in and of themselves avodah zarah. He turned them into a god. What are trofim? They were divination things that you use to be able to tell the future, to predict. And so, I remember he quoted the Zohar. How do you make trofim? You apply pressure with both hands, then you take away your right hand, you just keep your left hand. What does that mean? The right hand creates. The right hand is bria. That's chesed, it's bria. The left hand is din. It's kavura. It's holding back. It's maintenance. You apply pressure with both hands to start something, then you take away your right hand and you just maintain it. Meaning, all things being equal, this is what's going to happen. All things being equal. Expected to warm up in the springtime, get really hot in the summer, cool off in the autumn, and get very cold in the winter. That's normal. That's how life goes. And that's how a people goes. They start off, they reach their golden age, then they fall into civil war, and then they're destroyed by a larger party. This happens all the time. Nation after nation, people after people, life after life. You start off, you're a little kid. You have so much energy. You can't hold these kids down. I watch with my grandchildren, you have to fight with them to change their diaper, which I've never really understood on any level. Because when I start having dirty diapers, I really hope somebody changes them right away when I'm in the home. It's not going to be for 2 or 3 years, but I don't get it. You have to wrestle them down. And they're perpetual motion machines. You can see kids just run around. And they get older and they get curious about everything. Why? What's this? What's that? How does this work? How does that work? They have 1,000 questions. Eventually they achieve adulthood. Yeah. And now they're strong and they're able and they're ready to conquer the world. And then they hit middle age. They realize that most of their dreams were never fulfilled. They never did all the things they wanted to do, go to every place they want to go, accomplish what they wanted to accomplish, and they still have a midlife crisis. And then eventually they reach acceptance, and they go into older middle age. Basically, you just want a nap. Somebody sent me an email. There's this thing in bars, evidently called happy hour, where the drinks are like half price or whatever. It says when you reach a certain age, happy hour is a nap. You spend a lot of time going like this. Oh, yeah? And then you reach old age. Takes 2 to 3 minutes just to sit down in a chair. And it takes a team of professionals to get you out of it afterwards. Or as a fellow said to me in my shir recently, if you wake up in the morning and nothing hurts, it means you're dead. And you spend your whole day saying, can I eat this? Man, I'm going to be sick if I eat it. Man, should I have it? And you know to eat healthy. You can recite to everybody what the healthy things are. Then you have a brownie. Because it doesn't really matter because you like a brownie. Or as the 2,000-year-old man said, what do you eat? He says, well, when you reach my age, you have to be very careful, very careful. He says, can't have vegetables, fruits and vegetables. I get gas, I'll die. Yeah, I can't have poultry. Everyone knows birds eat garbage. It's terrible for you. The cholesterol, I can't have meat. I can't have cheese. I can't have milk, I can't have fish, iodine. I'll get a goiter. My eyes will pop out of my head, So what do you eat? Cool, crisp mountain water. That's it. Chilled to 63 degrees. That's it. That's all you have? Yes. And a stuffed cabbage. You can eat stuffed cabbage? Well, who cares? I love it. What do you think? I'm going to get by on some water? But stuffed cabbage, that's worth it already. And then you reach very old age. Yeah. When I turned 60, quite a number of people said to me, 60's not old. I said, Mishnah Mefureshes says that you're wrong. Yeah? It says, Shishim leZikna, Shivim leSeva, you're really old. Shmonim leGvura, we're surprised you're still here. Tishim laShuach, you're bent over. 100, it's like you're already dead anyway. Or as the comedian George Burns, who died just before his 100th birthday, he had scheduled a show on his 100th birthday. He said, I have my opening line. It's a pleasure to be here. At my age, it's a pleasure to be anywhere. He came out on a show once, and everyone started applauding. He goes, look at this. I just have to stand up and I get a round of applause. And that's how it goes. And then you die. And in fact, studies have shown that the leading cause of death is life. Because nobody has ever died who wasn't born. So a person's born, and if you want to be particularly morbid, you can look ahead and say, I know how this story is going to end. Yeah. This person's terminal. It's a terminal illness. It's called life. Just the reality. Beginning, middle, and end. People have a beginning, a middle, and end. Adar is the end, but it's v'nahafachu. It's head to tail. We end and start over again. That's what the shkalim do. The shkalim allow us to be able to take this year's money and use it for next year's kabbanos. And so we connect the years, and so there is no break. We make it constant. Says the Gemara in Megillah that Haman gave to Achashverosh the amount of money equal to the Chatzi shekel. There was no Beis HaMikdash then, they weren't collecting the Chatzi shekel. But he understood the Chatzi shekel is what gives the Jews the power to move from nothingness to a new existence, to keep existing outside of time, or in the words of Samuel Clemens, better known by his pen name Mark Twain, yeah, all is mortal except the Jew. The Jew transcends time, has seen civilizations rise and fall, and they keep coming back. But that was what Haman was counting on. We started as a nation. We reached our golden age. We were destroyed. We're in exile. That's the end. That's the end of the Jewish people. And Adar is the end of the year. Starts in Nisan, yeah, and then it ends. We reach the springtime, the summertime, and then we reach the winter, and it's over. That's the end. So we do parshas Shkolim because parshas Shkolim allows us to defeat Amalek. That's parshas Zocha. And once we defeat Amalek, which is always a prerequisite to the building of the Beis HaMikdash, to establishing kingship, we then go to the next two parshios. Parshas Para, purify yourself. Parshas HaChodesh, Chadash, HaChodesh Hazel Lachem, Rosh Chodashim, the moon. Because the moon starts, gets bigger and bigger and bigger, becomes full, then begins to wane until it disappears. And then it reappears. And so, counting from Avram Avinu, Dovid is the 14th generation, Shlomo is the 15th generation, and after the moon is full on the 15th of the month, it starts to fall, starts to disappear, and after it's gone, Kosh Baruch Hu shows Moshe Rabbeinu, you see the new moon? HaChodesh Hazel Lachem. You are the moon. The moon is always a new start, and begins over again for you. Adar is the theme of taking us from the end to the beginning. The power is through the Shkolim, and that sets in motion a series of events that allows us to be reborn and recreated. And that's why we say on Pesach, Tfilas Tal, for the dew. And at the end, the Tefillah of Tal, you say, L'chaim v'lo l'maves. And the Mata Moshe on Tefillas Geshem says, L'chaim v'lo l'maves, by Tefillas Geshem, it's pashut, that we should live and not die, we'll have the rain. By Tefillas Tal, it says, L'chaim, power of Tchias HaMesim. Because Geula is coming back to life. And that's the power of the Dalet Parshios. And that's what we are finishing up. That's the process of Adar as we prepare to go into Nisan. And that's it for this week. If you want to find out more about this show, go to RabbiOrlofsky.com. You can add comments, see my upcoming event schedule, contact me directly. You can sign up for the live shiurim, Daf Yomi. We've just started Shabbos. It's a wonderful thing to do. You don't want to miss out on that. I have two separate shiurim in Mesilas Yesharim, Sunday and Monday. If you want to sponsor an episode, you can go to RabbiOrlofsky.com/sponsor, and that's it for this week. I'm Dovid Orlofsky, and this is the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode, and we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.